Scoop B Radio in the borough of Brooklyn with the incomparable Maino. Brother, what's up?
Man, everything good. I'm blessed, bro.
And highly favored?
I can't complain. I ain't doing no complaining because ain't nobody listening anyway.
Nobody wants to hear it because everybody dealing with it.
Nobody, 100%.
Tell me something.
Yeah.
Recently, I did an interview with former NBA player Jason Williams, and I asked him to give me his all-time starting 5 St. John's players. I'm not going to ask you that. I'm going to take that and raise you this.
Yeah.
Top 5 Brooklyn lyricists of all time.
Brooklyn lyricists of all time, top 5. Big Daddy Kane.
Okay, that's 1.
Biggie Smalls.
2.
That's easy because they all come from Ben-Stuy.
Okay.
Jay-Z. Fabulous. Lil Kim. That's 5 right there, right?
That's 5 right there. Tell me something. What was the first hip-hop lyric that you saw or that you heard that had you hooked on hip-hop and made you want to like it and then become a rapper?
Man, I go back, man. Like, I came in the door, said it before. That never made me want to be a rapper, though.
Okay.
I was just so caught up in the culture and the music and the streets and being outside and hearing the music. I didn't want to be a rapper until I was, later on in my life, I was in prison and, I had the, fucking vision of turning my whole situation around and becoming a rapper,
Who was the first rapper that you met that made you want to be a rapper?
Nah, I didn't meet no rappers, man. I didn't meet no rappers until I was actually a rapper.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
You know what? I seen Big Daddy Kane back in the days.
What was that like?
It was like, that's Big Daddy Kane. Like, you know what I mean? Had the Volvo, had the big chains on. That was the thing. But, I looked up to the street niggas, though,
Of course.
So this is a different time back then. It wasn't, I don't know if we was aspiring to be rappers, in this era yet.
What would High Hater look like in today's digital landscape had you dropped it now as opposed to the 2010s?
It would be viral.
Okay. Point blank period.
Point blank period.
I really look at some of those moments. I feel like in the 2010s you had Vine, you had kind of the upstart of Twitter, but you didn't have TikTok, you didn't have Instagram.
Nah, you didn't have this flow of social media like the way you have it now. It's free flowing, it's everywhere. People get up in the morning and the first thing they grab is their phone. They get their news, they get the information, they shop, they do everything on their phones.
Learn me something, as my late grandmother would say. When I watched Dipset and I watched the Lox do their verses, I thought it was expertly produced as far as it being at Madison Square Garden. There just were a lot of hiccups. Nas made a song, If I Ruled the World.
Right.
If you ruled the world for the day, how would you have changed that whole setup of the Lox and Dipset during the verses?
The Lox and Dipset. Man, it happened the way it was supposed to happen, though. You know what I mean?
Okay.
It is what it is, though. Like, sometimes, like, I believe in what's meant to be will be.
That's the diplomatic answer.
Right. Like, like, change it how? Like, what would be different?
For me,
right.
When I looked at the Dipset, number one, and as well as the Lox, I felt like the Lox, they kind of had like their A and B side organized.
Because they more in tune. They practice. They on tour together. They doing shows together all the time.
Sure.
They have their routine down pat. And when it comes to the Dips, they may not be that in tune together because they not moving together in unison. So that's just what it is.
Dipset, or rather the Lox, had more reps. Dipset, they doing their own individual thing, and at the same time, once they got together, it wasn't as cohesive.
Right, but that's because they have. If me and you hanging together every single day, and we actually working together every single day, we touring all the time, then we're gonna be more in unison. It's gonna be more cohesive. But if we only come around every couple of months, twice a year, it's not the same.
When you look at the state of hip hop now, you look at streaming and you look at a lot of these young guys, a lot of times it's been pegged that these young guys, it's kind of like this big brother versus younger brother thing.
I ain't on none of that.
I know you're not.
I ain't on none of that.
Why? I feel like in basketball it's like that with a lot of the vets kind of coming at the younger guys.
I ain't with none of that.
Why is that such a thing in hip hop?
I don't know. I can't speak for, some of the insecurities of other men. You understand? Like, because that's what it got to be. Allow the young niggas to be young niggas. You got to also remember, I probably relate to the young niggas more. I was a young nigga when I went away. You understand? And I came home with that type of energy. So the thing is like, we all go through the same steps of life. But everybody been 20 before. You see what I'm saying? So, you know, at the end of the day, the advantage of being older, you got a chance to actually learn from what you've been through and learn from the young niggas. That's the advantage.
What young people do you like to listen to currently?
I listen to them all, man. I like Rob 49.
Okay.
I mean, you know, love Dirk, free him. Lil Baby. You know, I work with a lot of these guys as well, so it's like, you know, it's nothing for me. You know, I've done songs with these guys, so it's cool, you know.
Softball question. Jim Jones, of course, part of the Lobby Boys with you.
Yeah.
He was on Scoopy Radio, and I asked him who was on his playlist, peers-wise, for you.
Right.
Driving in the car, getting in the shower, on the road. I don't care if it's Sade. What's on your playlist, non-hip-hop, and what's on your playlist of your peers, hip-hop?
I'll be listening to Lana Del Rey.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? I was just listening to, on the way here, Party Next Door.
Okay.
You know? I love Young Blue.
Okay.
I'm rocking with the new Lil Durk. Yeah, so yeah, those are some of the things.
Couple more questions.
What's that?
On the way here, on the train, I was listening to a lot of Neptunes. Produced beats back in the day.
Right.
And you look at the 2000s, you think of anything from Ludacris to Jay to Babyface.
Let's not forget Nori.
You can't forget Nori.
Started with Nori.
Do you have a list of Neptune songs that you like, and have you ever worked with them or wanted to work with them?
I don't know if I was ever hot enough for Pharrell.
Okay.
I met him years ago. You know what I mean? We had, you know, some words about, you know, but I don't know if I was ever in that pocket or if I was ever somebody that was even thinking about. But I love what he did for Nori. You know, of course. You know, they got hits, man. The clips, early clips, grinding and, you know, all that. Like, I'm a fan of the music, man, period, point blank. Even if I wasn't rapping, I'd still be in it as a person that just loves the culture.
All the above, as well as High Hater, to me, you can play them in basketball arenas, you can play it in the gym.
Right, classic.
How did those songs change your life?
They gave me the opportunity to still be here, bro. That's it right there. Like, you know, none of this shit is guaranteed. You got artists that have been out here for years trying to get to where they trying to get to. You know what I mean? Never catch one, never catch two, never catch three, never catch none. You understand? So I'm grateful we still here. You know, brand new single out right now, Shade Room. We just did part 2 with Remy Ma. We're gonna drop that next week, and then we rocking and rolling.
Remy Ma, to me, lyrics-wise, is a legend. I ain't gonna say nothing messy about her because I think she does not get her flowers wholeheartedly.
Absolutely, she's a legend.
Why?
I mean, we don't always get our flowers in life. You know, I'm under the impression that I don't get all mine, but it is what it is. We just gotta keep pushing, no matter what.
That's it, brother. You are the epitome of being a student of your craft.
Yeah.
And I appreciate you for making time for me.
Thank you.
Respect.
So love.